What's up? So today I wanted to talk about being a third culture kid. Now, what is a third culture kid? I asked ChatGPT, what is a third culture kid? And it answered, a third culture kid, TCK, is a person who has spent a significant portion of their developmental years outside of their parents' culture, typically because of expatriate or diplomatic work, military service, or other international circumstances. Now, I grew up in France as a German, and France is a culture that assimilates people a lot. And I didn't get French nationality, but to this day, I mainly identify as a French person, but I'm not French and I don't live in France anymore. And when I talk in French with French people, they wonder why I'm not French. And I have to explain them, well, I might have lived in France when I was younger, but my origins aren't French. Yeah, I have other origins. I'm German by nationality. But okay, so so I will get to the topic of third. So the term culture refers to a unique blend of the first culture, the parents' culture, the second culture, the culture of the host country or countries. So in my case, friends. And the third culture that the child develops as a result of living in a mix of different cultural environments. I will adjust my camera a bit. Um, so having two cultures in me, um, inevitably, you end up choosing or like creating coming up with a third culture, a third, like a third party, like something, a more international. So, in essence, TCKs grow up navigating multiple cultural contexts, which can lead to a hybrid identity that neither fully one culture or another. That's neither one or another. This experience often leads them to develop strong cross cultural skills and an adaptability that can be beneficial later in life. However, it can also result in a sense of rootlessness or identity confusion, as they may not fully uh, feel fully at home in any one place. Yeah, I can only, like, this is ChatGPT, but I can only validate what ChatGPT answered. Um, it sounds ridiculous, but it's been very challenging to grow up between France and Germany, even though these are affluent nations, rich, developed countries, and I can't complain and so on. But funny enough, you will come up with a third culture. So at some point, like, how many French people do you know that speak the way I do right now? And how many German people do you know that speak the way I do right now? Well, none. So this is pretty like international. So this is the next one of the next points is that okay, so some key characteristics of TCKs include cultural adaptability. TCKs are often adept at switching between cultures and understanding different perspectives. Mm, Now, this is true, but I would always almost say that you can that this is also like understanding different perspectives in painful detail. In painful detail. That means that you see through the culture and through certain patterns that you wouldn't want to even know. You don't want to really get the details of how variants articulate, how they roll the R and their manners, how they are sometimes uh, like some of it might even be gross in a way, you know. And so this painful detail, to me, I haven't dealt with it because one of my last videos, my last video, actually my previous video, was how about how I can't like find, or I cannot picture myself ever being in a long-term real relationship with a German like girl or like partner. And the reason why, so this is complex, it's because at some point I'm not French, I'm not German, so what am I? A third culture kid. Okay, so global perspective, they tend to have a broader, more international outlook on life. So this is what I mentioned. And most likely, like not most likely, but from my personal experience, ever since I am a young man, and like when I traveled and so on, and in like Annecy, but also in the city I am now, in Germany and so on, I oftentimes get along with American people well. So American people, from my experience, are some of the most open-minded, approachable, most like open people. Like that's just my personal experience. Is that American people, they are very like open-minded and approachable and enthusiastic and non-judgmental too. Like, but maybe this is, maybe I'm generalizing now, and I haven't lived in the U.S. and so on, and there are lots of other open-minded people than Americans, and I cannot generalize on all Americans, and I cannot say other people aren't. But also, like yeah. So Spanish people, Spanish-speaking people, and English-speaking people in general, I feel like they are more international than just French or German people. These people sometimes have a hard time accepting that they are so like similar actually, and they, yeah, it's a mess. I already like talked about this in the past, but a sense of displacement because they may have lived in several countries. TCKs can struggle with a feeling of not belonging anywhere specific, as they may not feel entirely connected to their parents' culture, their host country's culture, or even the culture of the country where they are currently living. Yeah, I have to say that all these things are true, and like paradoxically, if I complain about, like, if I say that I don't feel like I belong and so on, you would think this is a sign that I am bad at adaptating and that I lack the skill of cultural adaptability. But I would say that paradoxically, it's because I adapt so well that I have to also face some challenges when I like fully like dive in one culture and I just forget myself and I lose like I just forget myself in the process of just diving in like one culture, fully immersing myself. But at some point when I'm going to be alone again and like just like be by myself with my own like thoughts, like the question is then, in what language do I think, for example? uh where do I want to go now? Am I going to like stick to like the German side more, and like if I get advice from German people, it's going to be advice from German people for German people who want to live in Germany. But maybe I don't want to live in Germany for the rest of my life. And so if I ask French people for advice, I will get advice from French people in French for French people, supposedly. But I'm like, guys, I'm like, and then if I tell them like I'm German and French, but at some point this is not even true anymore either. So yeah, so it can be kind of isolating. So you adapt so well that you end up isolated in a way. So that's kind of sad. Now, frequent relocation. Many TCKs move between countries or regions during their childhood, which means they may experience interrupted schooling and relationships. Yeah, I did. And so now I am trying the last couple of years to actually stay in one city for as long as I can, to be able to navigate, to be able to have to navigate the world from there, because I want to open myself up to the world, but if I don't have a solid base anywhere, then even like I know some like French people, for example, that now that they are grown up, they want to explore and navigate and discover the world from their like French town, let's say. But I left that like French town, for example, a long time ago. And so for them, it's about opening themselves up to the world from their French town. Now, if I want to open myself self up to the world, well, first, like I have to, like, in order to open yourself up, yeah, that means that you have previously not been withdrawn, but that you maybe hadn't opened yourself up. And so the process of opening up implies that you've previously had at least like a sort of base where it then like stems from, like the rest of what the actions you take, and like and so on. So yeah, um, having a base, having a base, and identity. Yeah, this one is also tricky and complex. Yeah. Mm, in short, a third culture kid grows up in a blend of multiple cultures, often leading to a unique personal identity that transcends any single national or cultural identity. Yeah, that transcends any single national or cultural identity. Now, that's why people sometimes they will bump into a wall when they meet me, because I know that like as humans we think in boxes. Like we have this, it's hard to detach from black and white thinking, like 1 0, like these computers, like they function with ones and zeros, and like this black and white thinking, right or wrong, true, false. And so with me they will like try to think like French or German, but he's maybe genetically more German, but maybe culturally more French. But so then, how is it that he, like, how many French people do I know that speak English like that? And also, well, his name is not really German, so what the hell? Like, who is this guy? And, well, actually, um, genetically, I'm not even like that German. I'm also German, but like, I'm actually like more like Eastern European, like Croatian, and um yeah, so I'm a European mix, so to speak. And I ended up just like having my own like culture, like third culture. And I click best with people who also speak English at some point, English speakers, Indians, also English people, American people, Australians. Whenever I go abroad, these will be the people I will most likely, if I go to some hostel, like I will also like if there are French people and like German people, I will also like interact with them. Um, but most likely you end up seeing me with like English speaking people, even though I'm like French and German. So this is because of the third culture kid phenomenon. Yeah. So it's a I can only like validate what ChatGPT has answered. And yeah, there are also real like scientific studies on this. And yeah, so I haven't done the research of like actually sorting out real um publications, articles, scientific like sociological like or like psychological or like cross-cultural like studies and so on. I know these things exist, but I bumped into this term third culture kid, I think 1.5 years ago. And yeah, it's a real thing. I watched some videos about it and I kind of forgot like I this is my only like support right now. Like I haven't like informed myself recently about any of these things. It's really just that I today I had the idea of like making a follow-up video about the one of yesterday that was a bit sad and had a sad bitter note to it. um and so yeah, so this phenomenon exists, a third culture kid. Now, I might feel special, but nowadays, in the world, there are lots of third culture kids, and also humans. By nature, we don't just stay in one place. We also, I don't, I forgot the term, but we're travelers. We are not made to just get born and die in one place. Usually humans, like historically and evolutionary, we have always traveled and moved and so on. So this is also this is human, this is just a human thing. And yeah, so I would like to end this video by saying that it's important not to like to it's important to try to detach from the black and white, right or wrong box thinking. Think outside of the box. Think outside of the box, guys. Think outside of the box. I will repeat once more. Think outside of the box. Now repeat with me. Think outside of the box. Okay, once more because it feels good. Think outside of the box, guys. People aren't just German. People aren't just French. People aren't just this or that skin color. People aren't just from that or this religion. People aren't just athletic, sedentary, and so on. These are all just like terms and abstract like concepts, but that we evoke with words and by words, by language and so on. And when you like detach yourself from all that, because this is difficult, this is also scary, this is also scary, um well then like a whole new world will open up to you, a whole new world. And things aren't the way they seem, was what I said in my last video, or appear to be, you know. And so I hope you took something out of this, the third culture kid phenomenon. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of this. Maybe you are a third culture kid too. Now that would be interesting too, if you can mention it in the comments. I hope you liked the video. good evening, and as always, enjoy. Now take a bite of that cookie. Enjoy.